Hey guys, in this video I'll show you the two main problems that makes e-com stores fail without them even knowing. And please do stick around for the end where I will spill the tea on how you can solve them as well. And no, it's not just the same old, their marketing isn't good enough or their product doesn't have enough interest. These are two actual problems that normally occurs and that I see hinder e-com stores growth and scalability. So let's just get into it. The two main problems, as you've probably already seen on my screen here, are 1, poor profit margins, and 2, difficulty being profitable on cheaper products. And these two things might seem, I don't know what you think, small or normal or very obvious as problems, but it doesn't have to be. And this is something that occurs a lot, but it's not something that necessarily has to be a problem, or at least it's not a problem that's not possible to solve. And just to give you a little rule of thumb, the key to solving these problems, just like pretty much any other problem, is asking yourself how, why, what, and when. These questions are incredible for actually figuring out and solving every problem that you might have. So let's just get into it with the first problem. So here you can see poor profit margins. This is of course a big problem because if your profit margins are very poor, you need to have a very high return on investment on your paid marketing, for example, or you need to be able to sell very, very well organically and still sell a lot to make a profit. So, for example, one of the things that makes it a problem is, as I was saying, it's incredibly hard for paid marketing to be scalable if you need a ROAS 7 or 10 to be profitable. And one of the reasons that this is such a big problem is what you can see here. Performance fluctuates a lot more when you have high ROASes, because let's say that you need a ROAS of 3 to 5 to be profitable, something like this. Well, these are a lot smaller numbers, so there's not very much room for your performance to fluctuate between if like the max ROAS you kind of let yourself get up to, because you don't need that much more to be profitable, so you can start scaling the your budget between a ROAS of 3 and a 5. Then there's not that much room if 1 and 5 is the ROAS. So it's like, if you like make no sales, then your ROAS would be 0. But if 5 is the max you let it get to, then there's not that much room to fluctuate. Then 0 to 5 is the absolute max that you can fluctuate between. But if you need a ROAS of, let's say, 7 or 10 or 12 to be profitable, let's say 10, then you'd probably be like, okay, it would be great to get up to like 15. So you then, in this scenario, the ROAS you fluctuate between would be 0 to 15. This just leaves so much more of a room to fluctuate between, which means that your performance will be very, very inconsistent. And with poor profit margins, this fluctuation will affect you a lot more because you have so much more room to fall down, or like the pit in which you are not profitable is so much deeper. If that makes sense. So, if you needed ROAS 10 to be profitable, if you get down to a ROAS 5, you're losing a lot more money. If for example, you had a ROAS of 5 and you got down to like a ROAS of 4, it's just, or to be profitable, it's just to kind of get you to understand why this can be such a big problem. Or at least if you let it be a problem, because you can control this fluctuation if you implement a very, very strong setup on your paid marketing. Here, it's really important that you implement a setup with full control of the variables so that you avoid fluctuation. Because poor profit margins, it's of course always greater to make more every time you make a sale, or to have great margins, so you don't need to kind of have as high of a ROAS for a sale to be profitable for you. But if you can control the fluctuation and if you can get up to like around, let's say you're profitable at a ROAS of like 8 or something, and you can get up to a ROAS of 12 to 15, and you can stay in around this space and without it fluctuating down below 8 or to around 8, but you can keep it here, and then you can scale it, then maybe go to 10 to 13, still be profitable but spend more money, and kind of build your way up to that ROAS 12 to 15 again with a higher budget. If you can do this without the fluctuation, then it's not that big of a problem. So one of the greatest reasons to solving the issue of having poor profit margins. Just to let you in on one of the secrets, it is to have a setup with control of the variables to avoid fluctuation. One of the things that's really, really great to do right now on, if we look at meta advertising, it is the Advantage Plus campaign, especially if you're on lower budgets, or mainly if you're on lower budgets. If you got up to like higher budgets, then it's mainly a good campaign to have as like complementary to like a manual framework. But to put it into perspective, if you have profit margins, you should always run like some kind of a manual setup where you control all the variables. You know everything that's being done. You know your audience. You know the type of content that works, type of copy. You need to know everything. You need to have everything tested so that you can change just one variable, and then you know that that's the only one. Then you know that it's gonna work or it's not gonna work, because you need to know what variables you can tweak. That's really, really important to avoid fluctuation. Another thing is to have clear benchmarks for scaling, because if you need to scale and still be profitable, you need to have very, very clear benchmarks on how you actually scale. So looking into if you're looking into scaling, you can see that you're really profitable. Then do something in the likes of increasing your budget by like 25%. See how it goes. Or if you have like an ad that's really profitable, and you run it on the same budget as your other ads, you have that under control. All your ads are run on the same budget because you have every variable under control. Then, and you have one ad that's really, really profitable, then try to double, if it's not ad level, then double the budget. If you have it on like campaign level, so in like an A+ campaign, and it's really profitable, then increase the budget by 25%, see how it goes. This is what I would do to make sure that poor profit margins doesn't fluctuate your performance. Another very practical solution would be to look for cheaper suppliers. This seems very obvious, but a lot of people will just stick with their supplier. A thing that I would always recommend to do if you have really poor profit margins, that's something you can have in the beginning. I would never recommend to have it in the beginning, but if you do have it and you start to kind of grow, then you should always be looking at getting your supplier to lower the price, kind of forcing their hand by saying, I have other suppliers, contacting other suppliers so you can kind of play them out against each other and get the lowest price. Your margin shouldn't be very high. Like your margin shouldn't be much higher than like a profit margin of a break-even ROAS of around 5. Like your profit margins, I wouldn't let them go below like 30-40%. Like I wouldn't let them go below 30% for sure. So if you're at that level, there is things you can do with keep your performance from fluctuating. But if you're at that level of your break-even ROAS being above 5 to 6, or your profit margins being around below like 30% or something, I would definitely start to look for cheaper suppliers. I would see if it's possible to increase your prices and still make sales. This is like a last resort in kind of trying to fix this, because if you increase your prices, it's going to be very hard to go down. It's only something you can do once, because you can go down, lower your prices again. But if you then want to increase it, you can't really do this, because you've already let your customers know that it didn't work at that higher price, and that you are willing to lower it again. And if they know you're willing to lower it again, it's not going to work again. So it's something you can try once, and then that's it. So you need to be sure at what level you raise it to. But it's something that could be a last resort to kind of see if it's possible to do. Another thing you can do, instead of just increasing the price, is you can improve your product to sell it for more with better margins. It can also be like creating bundles or packages where you sell for a lot more. And then of course you can't do these bundles where you get like 10 or 20% if your margins are very poor, but kind of improving the offer of your kind of product. So I don't know what your exact product might be, but it's always something that's worth kind of looking into. If you can improve the maybe quality of your product, if you can improve the quality of your offer, so it's kind of, you maybe sell two things at once, or you have like you have like some kind of smaller thing that complements the main product that is just automatically then that you then make automatically come with the package, so it's more valuable and you can sell it for more in that regard. That's something you can always try to look into. Another thing is, if, and this only works, but if you have free shipping, one thing you can look into is kind of changing free shipping. I would say you can all just remove it completely, but I think that one of the things that work very, very well, or at least I've seen work very well, is having, so instead of free shipping, then having free shipping over X amount. This is something that works really great because it helps increase your average order value, because it kind of becomes like a competition to get the free shipping. So this is definitely something that works very well, and there is still the like idea of free shipping, so you don't get like black label for not having it while others have it. So this is something I would definitely recommend looking into. Going into main problem number 2, difficulty being profitable on cheaper products. So your products are too cheap, or too cheap. If you sell very cheap products, this is something that can be a problem for you. Or at least a problem for scaling, because your CPA prices need to be very low, and otherwise there will be very little to no profits. And at the same time, shipping will end up being a huge part of the costs. So let's dive into that. First, if shipping will end up being a huge part of the cost, then you would need to look into making individual shipping agreements. So trying to see if you can find another company to ship your products, if you can find another product to store and kind of send out or kind of handle your packages. This is something that I would for sure look into to kind of lower, especially if you're doing if you're delivering to other countries. This is where you can really find better. This is where you can really benefit from like actually researching other shipping agreements or other shipping companies that can help you. And again, I can only stress free shipping over X amount is a really, really great way of kind of doing this, because then you only pay for the shipping if they purchase more. And getting them to purchase more, so increasing the average order value, is the absolutely most important part of making your store scalable and profitable when you have cheap products. Because again, as I was saying before, CPA prices, so the cost per acquisition price, need to be very low, because of course your product is very cheap. So it needs to be a good bit. It needs to be a good bit lower the CPA than of course what people purchase for. But you can of course fix this by increasing the average order value. But yeah, it can be a really good way to have, like, having these cheap products that you run ads for can be a very good way of attracting customers. And when I speak about cheap products, that don't mean like low quality. It can just be you have like a small product that's not something you normally sell for much. It can also be you have like a cheap product for whatever reason it's whatever reason it might be cheap. It's just really important that you do think of your average order value, because if you have like a product you advertise that's worth, let's say, $15, that's what you advertise for, then to be profitable, if you have decent margins, your your CPA, if you only sell that one product that's worth $15, your CPA would normally have to be at like around 7 to 7.5 dollars, if not less, for you to be profitable and making like a good profit. And you would have to sell a lot at the same time for it to not just be a good profit percentage, but actual a good profit, like monetary. So what you can do here is that, let's say you have a product that sells for $15. If you have other products that sell for $50, then kind of trying to upsell those products on your website and in your checkout, or in general, just like having bundles. So if you have like a lot of products that's worth like $15, then getting them to buy a bundle of like 5 products for, I don't know, $60 or $70. So you give a little discount for them to buy more. But with the cheap products, you should always have good margins. Otherwise, this is never going to work. But that's definitely something you should look into, bundling and improving your up and cross sell, both on your product pages and in your checkout especially. Here, free shipping is something that's really, really great as well, because it helps with increasing the average order value if you have it over X amount, because people will just look into trying to kind of compete to get the free shipping, especially because unless you have free shipping, then if they have to pay for shipping, which they will if they don't get up to the free shipping that you need to over, let's say, $100, then they'll have to pay for shipping, which is going to be, if you have a product that's worth $15 and shipping is let's say $5 or $10, it's like 33 to 66% of the purchase. The purchase gets increased by 33 to 66% just from the shipping. So that will make it's gonna make it so that the shipping is not worth it. But at the same time, if you have to pay for the shipping by selling a cheap product, it's going to be really difficult for you as well. So that's why free shipping over X amount for these cheap product stores is really, really important. Is a really important tool to have and to utilize, because it helps increase the average order value, and it shows that you have free shipping. They just have to purchase more. So it's a win-win for both the client or for both your shopper and for you. And then have a broad range of products, have a lot of variety in your products. If it's possible, have a lot of different products so you have something to up and cross sell, so you can increase the average order value. Because if you can get them to pay to purchase for like $60 or $70, and your CPA then is at $70 or $7, then it's starting to be really, really good. Whereas if you only sell for $15 and it's $7, then it's not that good. But yeah, that's why most e-com stores fail into I would say fairly simple main problems, but that a lot of people don't realize, and how you solve them. And if you think about it, then if you ask yourself how, why, what, and when, that's how you come up with these solutions. So looking at why is the why is shipping an issue? How do I fix it? What can I do to lower my shipping cost? What can I do that would make it easier to increase the average order value? And then ask yourself when, as in how fast can I get this done? But yeah, that's how I would do it. Please do subscribe to the channel for more videos like this if you found it valuable in any way. And I will keep posting here 2 times a week, so there will be another video out in around 3 to 4 days. And I hope you enjoyed this video and will watch that as well. Thanks for your time.